In a small cafe in Tokyo City, three Japanese schoolgirls have their little gossip session interrupted when one of them feels something pull her hair and then sees the eerie reflection of a strange man's face on her cell phone. Elsewhere, a businessman starts the day off right by downing some alcohol in a park and doesn't realize the person standing next to him is a ghost. He finally realizes it when the same spirit is directly behind him in the elevator. Another man washes his face in the bathroom and it briefly changes. The man is a truck driver and breaks two very important horror movie survival rules. Never take your eyes off the road, and if you hit something, floor it. The ghost he hit is stuck under the truck and is the same face he saw in the mirror. He suddenly finds himself surrounded by the faces of numerous spirits as their eerie cries are heard. His truck refuses to start and he is grabbed by all the ghosts. This was a fairly standard by-the-book scare scene, and nothing too scary. We are then introduced to Matsumura, a movie director working on a film based on a massive tragedy that occurred 35 years ago, which left 11 dead. An orange dragon ball bounces behind him and magically appears into the halls of a creepy hotel into room 227. The camera pans across the room of the abandoned hotel and into the closet, showing an old, creepy doll. This scene made for a brief but very eerie and atmospheric introduction to the film's main setting and story. The doll automatically comes across as nightmare fuel and will get plenty of her throughout the film. Matsumura holds auditions for the movie where we meet an interesting girl named Yuka Marita, portrayed by Japanese actress Maika Matsumoto, who played herself in the horror masterpiece Noroi, The Curse, which was released the same year as Reincarnation. Yuka comes off as a little odd and talks about being killed in her past life. We then meet the main character Nagisa, who doesn't have much of a personality. Matsumura takes an interest in her. She takes the subway home with her agent Murakawa and sees the spirit of a young girl holding the doll from earlier. She disappears and reappears right in front of her before appearing under the train. The little girl is the generic kid ghost from every other horror film ever made. She gets most of her scare points thanks to her doll that looks extra creepy because of how far apart her eyes are. While doing research for the film, Matsumura visits the only survivor of the hotel massacre, an old lady who gives him a mysterious secret box with content that is never revealed. Nagisa lands the main role in the film and learns that the movie is based on the hotel massacre that occurred 35 years ago. She will portray an older version of the girl who, along with her 10-year-old brother, was killed at the hands of her own father. Nagisa feels a strange connection to the little girl, and when she reads the script, the little girl runs behind her, and she suddenly finds herself in front of the Onokono Hotel. She quickly wakes up from the dream to someone ringing her doorbell, so she looks through the peephole to meet another jump scare. The cast and crew get together for the first time as Matsumura introduces himself. He says that while the film is based on real events, the killer will never appear or be named. He wants the film to focus on the victims and hopes to help put their vengeful souls to rest. They take a bus to the hotel, and the town directly below it appears completely empty. The hotel doesn't seem scary on the outside, but the atmosphere completely changes once they step inside. Matsumura has the cast lie down in the same spot and exact positions as the people who died in the hotel. Nagisa briefly sees the image of the real victims, backs away, and bumps into the spirit of the hotel clerk behind her. The spirits of the maid and the other dead hotel guests are also seen walking upstairs, which makes her faint. Nothing about this scene stands out as overly scary, but the atmosphere is definitely tense. She walks out of the bathroom and finds herself at a different moment in time inside the hotel. She follows a trail of blood up the stairs and sees the crazed killer following and recording his injured son while holding a knife. He performs the horrific act all while recording it on his camera. He then notices Nagisa, and she takes off running into room 227 and hides in the least obvious spot in the room, the closet. He slowly enters the room, and the atmosphere becomes extremely intense. He quickly finds her hiding spot and opens the door, which slides open from the other side by Matsumura, as she is now back in the present time. We are then introduced to the film's other main character, Yayoi, who keeps dreaming about the hotel but has never been there. She and Nagisa seem to be connected to each other through dreams and are possibly sharing the same memory. Yuka believes they may have met before in a previous life and says she is one of the victims reincarnated. She was a woman who was strangled because she was apparently born with the bruising around her neck. The spirits of the massacre victims suddenly appear and lift Yuka into the air. Yayoi goes looking for her and barely misses her as her feet disappear off screen. Yuka is the third victim of what seems to be a curse that consumes the reincarnated souls of the massacre victims, with the first two being the businessman and truck driver in the beginning of the film. Yayoi learns the killer was a professor named Omori and that his wife is the sole survivor. Mrs. Omori pulls out her husband's notebook, which shows he was doing research into the human soul. He said the flesh is but a vessel and wanted to unlock the truth behind where humans come from and where they go after they die. He became obsessed with his research and started doing experiments on his own children. He then attacked her and proceeded to commit the hotel massacre. As everything starts to unravel, Murakawa watches the video footage which contains the first-person view of Professor Omori before and during the hotel massacre. Yayoi arrives at the hotel, and the spirits of the reincarnated massacre victims arrive and enter the hotel. Among those are Yuka, the businessman, or the truck driver, and the schoolgirl from the cafe. They stop in the exact same spot in the hotel that their past lives died in 35 years ago. The first-person video recording of Professor Omori's massacre is supposed to be disturbing, but comes off really fake and sort of comical, as he manages to take out all these people recording everything with one hand. Yayoi falls to her knees, and her face starts to become ghost-like. Nagisa films her scene in the hallway, and the crew eerily disappears with only Matsumura remaining. He walks towards her and stumbles to the ground, revealing that he is the reincarnation of Professor Omori's son Yuya. This explains why the orange ball kept appearing when he was around. Nagisa follows Yayoi into room 227, where the film's twist is revealed. It turns out that Yayoi is actually the reincarnation of the little girl Chisato, and Nagisa is Professor Omori reincarnated. She runs out, terrified, and runs back into the room with the maid, played by none other than Takako Fuji, and there is a super unsettling moment where her body starts to shake before falling on top of her. All the massacre victims start to get up and slowly walk towards her. She breaks her way out of the hotel and retreats to the attic of a random house. The doll makes an odd noise and is clearly possessed by the vengeful soul of Chisato. She approaches Nagisa while growing in size in a deeply unsettling moment. Nagisa's hallway scene is then shown to producers and Mrs. Omori, revealing another twist. Nagisa is seen experiencing a mental breakdown, and everything that was just seen seemingly took place in her head. Mrs. Omori gives an odd smile and briefly sees the spirits of her children. Her smile probably means that Nagisa's breakdown means the film will stop production and her family's tragedy won't be exploited. In the film's final scene, Nagisa is seen wrapped up in a straitjacket inside a mental hospital. She briefly imagines a younger version of Mrs. Omori before present-day Mrs. Omori appears. She slides the doll and bouncy ball into the room. The spirits of her children appear, and Nagisa starts to freak out. But then all of a sudden she just stops and starts smiling ominously as the film comes to a close. With this extremely crazy ending, we're left with the impression that Matsumura's experiment was a success. You see, he'd believed that making the movie would help bring peace to the souls of the deceased. And with Nagisa suddenly smiling at the end after seeing the spirits of the children in the room, it's easy to believe that the spirits have finally found peace in a new human vessel. That's it for today's recap, folks, but before you go, I gotta ask, am I the only one who thinks Nagisa shouldn't have gone through with the movie with all the weird, supernatural things she saw at the start? What do you think? Could she have turned down the role, or was it really her fate to be the vessel for reincarnation? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.